Today, I'm gonna be talking about 3 tips that really helped me when I was learning manuals, and I think they can help you guys as well. So tip number 1 is gonna be getting comfortable with getting off your bike. When I used to ride BMX, it was very easy to lift up the bike because it was such a small bike and very light. Now that I'm doing manuals on a mountain bike, I've noticed that I've had to yank a lot harder because of the fact that it's a heavier and bigger bike. When I first started learning manuals on a mountain bike, I noticed the balance point was a lot farther back than a BMX bike. So I got really comfortable with yanking my bike to the point where I would fall backwards, but catch myself with my legs. And after doing that a few times, I started to feel the balance point, because realistically, you need that balance point to hold a manual. You're not gonna manual barely lifting up the tire. You really have to set your hips back and lean backwards and just feel it. And you're only gonna feel it the more you pull back. So that's tip number 1, is getting comfortable hopping off your bike. Tip number 2 is gonna be setting up objects that give you a reference point of what you're manualing. When I first started learning manuals, I would go to parking lots and I would go to the parking spaces and say, okay, I'm gonna manual 1 parking spot. And then once I got that one, I would say, okay, I'm gonna manual 2 parking spots, and so forth and so forth. Now let's say you don't have parking spots to use. You can put like a backpack and a water bottle, or a rock and a rock, and just say, I'm gonna manual from that rock to that rock. And that really helps you build the confidence. You know, you start to see your progression as you get better and better at the manuals. You'll start putting the objects farther and farther apart, and that mentally gives you the confidence to really build up your manual skills. The third and final tip that I'm going to be mentioning to you guys is speed. This is a very crucial part of learning manuals. You really have to get comfortable at a certain speed to find the sweet spot of a manual. Now, you don't want to be going too slow where you're hardly getting any movement, but you also don't want to be going like super fast, because that's going to be a lot harder for you to lift up the bike if you're going too fast. You want to get comfortable with a speed that's gonna allow you to progress on your manuals, but at the same time not scare you from falling backwards. You know, if you're going too fast and you fall backwards, it can be kind of dangerous. So definitely gauging the speed is gonna improve your manuals. And honestly, if you just spend an hour a day, every day, focusing on the 3 tips that I mentioned to you, you will progress at manuals. It's just a lot of practice. It's a lot of trial and error. Obviously, every bike is different, every body size is different, so finding what works for you is gonna ultimately help you with your manuals. But I know for a fact that these 3 tips that I just mentioned to you definitely improved my manual abilities. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. That is gonna wrap up this video, but I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.